Hello, this is Nick Kennedy, your gray man. And today I would like to spend some time reviewing Netflix a miniseries that just came out. Oh, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I guess. The House of Usher, the Fall of the House of Usher, actually. Um, Before we begin, though, I want to give a shout out to my Nigerian brother, Big K. Hope everything's going well with the business. And if you get done there, come on back here. We got a seat warm for you. We can pick it up. Anyway, yeah. So this is a series of well, it's a mini series. It's based on a, a bunch of I think they're short stories of Edgar Allen Poe. I'm not sure there's any actual books there, but anyway, it's loosely based on the House of Usher. But there are other works he worked in there too. There's some references to the Pit and the Pendulum, the Raven. And little known fact, he actually was credited with being the first, the writer who did the first American detective story, which was absolutely abysmal. If you ever have the misfortune of reading it, I'm sorry you had to. I had to do it because I was in sophomore in high school, I think. Murders in the Rue Morgue. But still, I mean, there's some elements of that tied in here as well. So it's kind of a mishmash of different things. And I think there's a lot of things in here to like. It's got a few issues. We'll kind of cover those them now. Now, this is done by Mike Flanagan, who's been doing a series of horror movies on Netflix. I think just about every one I would recommend to a degree. I don't ever remember seeing anything by him that was disappointing. He has his certain entourage of actors, that he uses, kind of like how Woody Allen did in the 70s, with Diane Keaton and Mia Farrow and Tony Roberts. He's got the same kind of a clique that kind of does his movies and shows as well. And they're good. So there's no reason not to go with them. What works, stay with it, right? So let's get into it a bit. The first thing I want to touch in is the characters. Mark Hamill, who everyone knows best from Luke Skywalker in the first trilogy of Star Wars. You don't see too much from him. I think after Star Wars, he did a war movie. I want to say it was called something like The Big Red One or something, but it may not be. But it was right after it, he did, which was okay. Got middling reviews. He was okay. And then he kind of, I think, disappeared for the most part. I know he did a lot of voiceover work as the Joker, which was critically acclaimed. I haven't actually seen any of it, but I've heard his work was quite good. And he's in here, and he's got the very rare ability in this show to be really a scene stealer, but he does it in a way that's quiet. He's got a very gravelly voice. He's a cleaner, kind of like if you watch Pulp Fiction, and if you haven't, you really need to. Harvey Keitel was the cleaner there. And then if you watch Breaking Bad, another one, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, you really need to. Mike, I guess, was the cleaner there. Well, he plays the same kind of thing. Outwardly, he's very quiet, but you know that just below the surface, there's like a tempest in a teapot. You know, there's a lot of things going on in there. He just doesn't show them. Like I said, I think, he can actually seal a scene just by standing there and not doing anything. Pretty impressive. Bruce Greenwood replaced Frank Langella, who I guess did half the series, and then from some politics behind the scenes, I guess they had to let Frank Langella go, which is too bad. He's been around for almost 60 years acting. And anyway, they brought in Bruce Greenwood, which is someone that Mike Flanagan's worked with a few times. Gerald's Game with Carla Gugino was one of the movies that come to mind. And he's solid. I've liked him. Oh my God. I would say he caught my eye in a show that only lasted for a season back in about 1995, maybe 1994-ish. It was called Nowhere Man. It was created by Lawrence Herzog, I believe, who's no longer with us. Unfortunately, he died young. And the show was really ahead of its time. It didn't do really gangbusters, although it's got a kind of a cult following now. But I really liked it. It was ahead of its time, and actually, you can pretty much pick up all the episodes. At least you could a while ago on YouTube. I watched the whole season that was there on YouTube for free, and it's if you watch it like it's 1995, it's a very pleasant surprise. But I mean, it's almost 30 years ago. Things change. This was still back when they had a season of maybe 22, 23 episodes. And it was much more regimented in the fact that it would go from like September to March and they're going to rerun. So when nowadays they don't have filler episodes. So you might get 8 episodes of a season, but it's all, action, plot oriented. You don't usually have a lot of like, clip shows and all that nonsense. But yeah, no, if you wanted to just check it out, Nowhere Man, should be on YouTube. A very young Bruce Greenwood does a really good job. And he does a great job here, by the way. I got to tell you, unfortunately, Frank Langella had to leave, but I got to think that they probably made out in the long run because I just think Bruce Greenwood nailed it. Also in it was Mary McDonnell. You might know her from Dancing with Wolves. She also played the president very well, by the way, on Battlestar Galactica. She has that unique ability of talking very softly and smiling in a very feminine way, but that underneath that smile, there's serious business. She can smile at you and you get scared. And she has that in Battlestar Galactica, and she brings it here too. So really, kudos to all those three guys that really nailed it. Also in this is Carl Lumley, who was in J.J. Abrams' Alias back in the early 2000s, which I think he did a great job. And the only thing was, I tended to think that some of the scenes between Bruce Greenwood and Carl Lumley might have been kind of spliced together from old footage. Just a couple of the scenes between him and Bruce that were very good, but I just got the sense that maybe they were filmed separately and kind of put together as one. But anyway, Carl Lumley, great job. Alias, Jennifer Gardner, good show. You haven't watched that? That's good too. Kate Segal is one of the regulars of Mike Flanagan, actually his wife, very beautiful woman. Way to go, Mike. And she's in this. Great job. No issues there. One thing I do want to mention is that there are a lot of backstabbing. It's politics, big time. And the children, a lot of them were conceived out of wedlock. I guess Bruce Greenwood or Roderick Usher, the character, traveled quite a bit. And I guess he didn't believe in condoms. So most of the children, maybe was it most or half? Anyway, it's a pretty high number of children were born out of wedlock, and I guess came to his mansion. And he brought them in and gave them jobs and he took care of them. The problem I had is I think a lot of times we could have used more of a background of all the children because, you pick it up in medias res, the middle of action, and you see a lot of motivations and issues. And I would like to have known pretty much what caused this. By the way, there might be some very minor spoilers. I'm not going to throw anything major out. But it's hard to do a review without at least touching on a few things. But anyway, yeah. So I think that was the one thing is, you see like two siblings that obviously dislike each other, and they don't really say why. And that kind of it was kind of a point of view that it's like, well, I would kind of like to know who's at fault. Are they both at fault, or with misunderstanding? You really don't know why they hate each other. There's also a marriage between Henry Thomas, who was the star of E.T. when he was a little boy, and his wife. And I don't know the actress's name. Sorry about that one. But I guess they had some issues in the marriage, or at least they acted like there were some issues with the marriage, but you don't know if there was or if it, why it was. They didn't explain that. You just see her going out, lying to him and going out, but you don't know. Oh, is the marriage in trouble? Does she just feel like she's gotten into kind of a wild mood and wants to go crazy? Those kind of things matter because motivation matters. So that was something that I think they could have used more, just explaining more of the background of the characters. Um, Also, the oldest son, Frederick, by Henry Thomas, a very nervous guy. Um, and it never explained that. Did he have a mood condition? Is he stressed at work? I never really quite understood why he couldn't just relax. From the get-go, it only gets worse as things start unraveling through the episodes. But you saw him becoming unwound, but I wasn't quite sure why he was. Um, Anyways, so there's that. Now, another good, interesting scene that I really liked is I'm sure most people have heard that expression, if people, give you lemons, you make lemonade. Well, there is a scene with Carl Lumley playing a detective, and he's talking to Roderick Usher. And it's a chess game between the two of them. And there's little challenges and jabs are being thrown back and forth. And during it, I guess Roderick says, "Well, if they throw lemons at you," and uh, Carl Lumley said, "Yeah, you make lemonade." And he said, "No, you don't. This is what you do." And he went into probably about a 5-minute speech that really got to show the crux of the character you were dealing with. Um, and it really blew me away. When I think about those kind of speeches, a few come to mind that are absolutely brilliant. The number one, and I always think will be number one, was Robert Shaw playing Captain Quint in Jaws, when he was talking about the true story of the USS Indianapolis and the way it went down, and no one knew there, and the sharks came around. It was a matter of survival. Um, Really an amazing um, anecdote. And even more impressive was the fact that about an hour or so before, he got terribly drunk and he passed out in his dressing room. Story. This is the story that goes around. I have no reason to doubt it. But I guess they woke him up and said, you got to come here. Now, he was a guy that was very used to doing ad lib. Brilliant, brilliant man, taken way before his time, in my opinion. So he came in and he's probably, still maybe half drunk, half hungover, who knows? And he ad libbed most of it, and he nailed it in one take. And it's brilliant. Number two is from Breaking Bad, and that was Mike the Fixer, when he was explaining about why he's what's a good way of putting it? So determined to see something to the end. And he talks about a story when he was a policeman and why he will never do any half measures. And that was truly a great scene too. You got to understand the characters, behind the image that they portray. And then the third is the lemonade, the lemonade with Bruce Greenwood. I didn't expect it. It didn't really seem like the movie was that heavy duty, but he broke off into it. And by the time he was finished telling you what he would do with the lemons, there was no doubt in your mind, this guy was a ruthless businessman, and you understood the character a lot better. Moving on, there is a mysterious woman, Carla Gugino, who I've got a mad crush on, always have. Started way back when I was raising my son, and he made me take him to the drive-in to watch Spy Kids. And I was like, well, what do we do for children? Sure, I'll go. And I put on Spy Kids, and boy, wow, Carla Gugino came on, and suddenly Daddy was more interested in Spy Kids. And then I saw her in Sin City. outstanding, beautiful, beautiful woman. And she was in Gerald's Game with Bruce Greenwood, which was also a Mike Flanagan. I want to say it was like 2017, maybe. And that was a decent movie. He killed a couple hours. So yeah, I mean, I've always liked her. Watchmen, she was in there too. She was full of makeup playing an older woman, but I still love. So you're not going to hear me saying anything bad about Carla Gugino, but in honesty, there really wasn't anything bad to say about her. She played her part beautifully. Very talented woman. The only problem is that they didn't really explain what she was. I mean, you knew she was something kind of supernatural. Um, Probably, I think it's safe to say there was some evil elements there. Although there were some times where you kind of thought, well, maybe she's not all bad. But it was a very interesting character. But they never actually explained who she was or why she was doing what she did. Um, so again, I mean, I just kind of like to know with the characters how they got to be there and why they're doing what they're doing. And I found that if you're going to find one thing wrong with the series, and there wasn't a lot wrong with the series, but it was the fact that I just felt like you were trying to catch these guys on the fly, and it was kind of difficult. Also, I want to mention that playing the younger ushers, there was Madeline and Roderick, played by Mary McDonnell and Bruce Greenwood, the older. And then there were flashbacks with Zach Gilford from, I think it was Matt Saracen from Friday Night Lights. And he also does Mike Flanagan shows also. And Willa Fitzgerald. I think she might have been in one of Mike Flanagan's shows too. And she was, I believe, in Reacher season 1. She's very young. I think she's very talented, and I think she's somebody we want to keep an eye on. In the next 10, 20 years, I think she could actually develop into a really great actress. Zach Gilford is usually very solid. I didn't like his portrayal here too much. I just got the feeling he was just kind of like going through the drill, and wasn't really. He wasn't very convincing. He seemed to just walk right through the role, and it could be because all his scenes were shared for the most part with Willa, and maybe Willa just stole the scenes. But I think that I thought that the Zach Gilford, the young Roderick, I didn't really buy that he was the younger version of Bruce Greenwood. They didn't seem to be the same person. I know that you're supposed to have occurred between the two, but just didn't buy the young Roderick that well. And I do like Zach Gilford, but I just think here for whatever reason, and it could have been just because of Willow just being so magnetic with her personality, that it kind of took away from his character. There's also a very young girl, I think she just turned 18 this last week, who plays Lenore, the granddaughter of Bruce Greenwood. And I think she might be somebody who might be, she's very young, and she's only done a few things, but I was pretty impressed with the little bit that she put in there. She's not a major character, but she's really very pleasant, and she comes across as being very sweet and likable, and she seems like she can act pretty well. So you might want to just keep an eye on her and see what happens with her down the road. Like I said, she's still very young. And now for the not so good, Bruce Greenwood, well, Roderick Usher had a young woman who was his wife. And the minute she opened her mouth, I knew she was Irish, real Irish, not a fake accent. I'm an Irish immigrant. I don't have my brogue anymore, but I can tell a real Irish accent. So I knew she was when I heard from her, and sure enough, she definitely did come from Ireland. Don't mean to offend her. I've got more of a problem with her character. I don't know why the character was there. I kind of felt like it was just a square peg kind of being forced into a round hole. She played a recovering drug addict that very young. I don't think they mentioned her age. I kind of got the impression she was something maybe around 22, 23. But again, I don't really think they spelt it out. That was just my assumption. And I just didn't like the character. I don't know what purpose she served when she was there. I found her to be kind of a whiny character. And then there were times where, she wasn't around and you forget all about her. And then she just pops up. You're like, oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. So Juno's still around. Forgot about her. Um, and again, I don't know if it was Ruth Sod. Is that her name? I think it was Ruth Sod or something, like the actress. I don't know if I don't think it was necessarily her fault. I just felt the character was kind of forced, and I don't think she really had much to do with it. Um, but I mean, overall, I like it. I like the people in it. I liked a lot of what it had to say. It went by pretty quickly. Um, yeah, so I mean, I would probably give this on a on a grade and a report card. I'd give it, I guess, a B minus maybe. I wouldn't say it's a must see, but if you like the characters, which I did, I mean, I really you know like just about everyone in this. I would say yeah, and I would say just to see Mark Hamill's Fixer character and and Bruce Greenwood's lecture on lemons, that probably is worth it enough. And it plays pretty quickly. It's not something that you take too seriously, but no, all in all, so I'll give it a B. I'll be nice, give it a B, and that's it. So I'll let you go, and if you like what you saw, please hit like, subscribe, and share. And I hope that was good for you too. Talk to you later. Bye bye.